Hey, all right. Good afternoon. Amazing verse he gave me yesterday. Amazing. 2 verses in Matthew. And such spiritual truth here. Look, I'm not just well, I kind of am just some smuck, but that's just blindly going through. Look, I am born again, but I know my vocabulary is a little rough in my reading and stuff. But understand this. I have no knowledge of truth, of real truth, except what he gives me. I could never see these things on my own. He is leading me and guiding me and showing me and revealing the truth. I have no knowledge of my own self, of the truth. It's all through him. Look, everything, he's told us everything in advance, from the beginning. So that when we see these things happening, it'll shake us to the core and we'll understand, especially if we have heard the truth, the gospel, the good news, and the entire Bible, what's going to occur. Look, the Bible, there's a duality of reality, basically. You have a spiritual that is being played out in the physical, but things that have already happened, are currently happening, and are going to happen. That is in the spiritual and the physical that are kind of intertwined. They're intertwined together. And there's a physical meaning and spiritual meaning to everything. And they're intertwined. So there's no truth in me except what he has given me. So there's that. I just wanted to say that. So anyways, this is such revelation here. And I was kind of stumbling a little bit after I went through the first part, verse 3. But and I wanted to do another verse, which he's already given me, and he gave it to me, and I know he gave it to me. But then I just felt like, well, wait a minute, something ain't right. And he had me go back and do verse 4. And there's a reason for it. And I saw the reason for it after he showed me. I mean, it's just the way he leads you. It's just amazing. So here we go. This is Matthew chapter 18, verses 3 and 4. So here we go. First, I'll read it the way it is in our Bibles, most of our Bibles, as you read it, and then take every word back to its origin. We'll get a lot more detail. There's no doubt about it. Okay. And said, so he said, it says, and said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Now, does it mean what it says? Yeah, I believe it does, but there's a lot that's been left out. Like I said, the translators translated what they knew, and there's things that they just couldn't grasp at the time. And like I said, the words of the scrolls were locked up until the time of the end when knowledge is increased. So there's that. And Jesus has broken the seal and unrolled the scrolls and poured out his spirit upon flesh. All those who will accept him and humble themselves like that child before him, turn to him. So here we go. This is Matthew 18, verses 3 and 4. Man, this is so amazing. Therefore, to bring word and grant truth, so he grants truth, to be fulfilled to the believers, properly firm and faithful, to be carried and established, to stand firm, to be true and go to the right hand, to teach and point out with words and speak, to call by name. We're giving out what he's putting in, calling by name all our friends, family, people we come across, people we want to call by name, to give out by you yourselves. So it's given out by ourselves what he puts into us. If not, whosoever expresses an absolute denial, that God forbids, you are neither wise. To turn, so he's telling us, turn back. To turn our back to one. So we have turned our back on one. We have turned our back to him when we refuse to speak the truth and pour out what he's pouring into us. Okay, he says, turn again. And we have turned away from him. Look, when we were there, we turned away from him. We looked into this world and we reached into it and we were born into it. We wanted to become like him, knowing good and evil. We were deceived. Okay, so he says, turn again, turn back again, turn back again. turn back again to where we were from, to the source of all life, the tree of life, to Christ, who is God. Okay, turn back of the heavenly bodies, turn back to the heavenly bodies indeed, and we will be given a heavenly body, a glorified body when we are caught up and brought into completion. Okay, and it's His Spirit that seals us and marks us to bring us into completion, right there. Okay, indeed, so that to be made finished, so we can be made finished and come into being. Be found, it says, be found. There it is. We're all the sheep that have went astray. He says, be found, be found. Be married, be married. We are the bride of Christ. Become the bride of Christ to be married and be found. Be ordained to partake. And then it said, be performed soon as it was sound. So as soon as the trumpet of God, which is His people speaking through the gift of His Holy Spirit, because we know He's about to return, announcing the return of the Messiah. That's the blowing of the trumpet of God. So understand that. Okay, to be performed, but could there actually be a trumpet blast that we all hear? Yeah, like I said, spiritual, physical. There's a duality of meanings here in the spiritual and physical. So understand that. Okay. Be performed soon sound. Be taken, to be taken, whensoever with all speed, who in all our straying from the path, and all our inflections straying from the path, we are like children in intellect, either a servant or a slave. A servant to God or a slave to this flesh. And it says, or a slave to the sting, to a sting as a scorpion. To sting as a scorpion. A slave to be stung as a scorpion. To punish. It says a lot right there. Sting. Okay? And the character of a scorpion's tail. Alright? Understand that. Then it's a punishment. Okay, as Satan, that is, as Satan taking possession of the body of a person as food that enters into the eater's mouth. All this is in my sword right there. You've got the Hebrew, Greek lexicons, and Strong's. So it's all right there when you look into it. So you can be a slave to sting, as in the characteristic of a scorpion, for punishment, as Satan that is taking possession of the body of a person as food that enters into the eater's mouth. Okay, an entrance into a condition. So that is an entrance into a condition of our fallen state of this flesh. It's a state of things. To be of men, to enter into. And man, it says this clearly right there. Right there in my sword. Okay, so an entrance into a condition, a state of things of God, the things of God, the supreme God, things of the supreme God. Page 430, the Elohim, and that's what he tells us we are, clearly in multiple places throughout the Bible. To be of men, to enter into, to come from one place to another, to fall, never worthy, which God forbid. We are not taken when we are without. So we will not be taken without His presence, without being born again, without His Holy Spirit, without turning back to our Father. So we will not be taken when we are without. Okay? Okay, so to enter men into a house, and here, check this out. Here's some spiritual truth for you. To enter men, so we have entered men into a house of Satan. It's the house of Satan. So who made, as it said, let us create man or make man in our own image? It was the Elohim. Genesis 1, understand that. There was another original race here before God in Genesis 2 formed his representative here, Adam. So understand that. Understand it. Okay, to enter men into a house of Satan, to go in, to go in and never be set at one again, to be the end, to fall out of the light, to fall out of the light, to fall out of the light, to a point reached of place and time, to perish. The royal power and dignity that is conferred on the Messiah's kingdom. To rule, and this is what he Satan wanted to do? To rule a realm of the sky. And they call him the prince of the power of the air, right? So to rule a realm of the sky, the region where clouds and tempests gather, where thunder and lightning are produced, the sidereal of heaven, the sidereal of the heavens. And that means the sidereal with respect to the stars and the constellations and the fixed stars, the distant stars and the fixed stars. So what did Satan say he's going to do? I will exalt my throne above the stars of heaven. Who are the stars of heaven? We're the stars of heaven that have fallen. And he's exalted his throne over us. Over us. He's put his throne over us. This flesh, a house of Satan. Okay, and so as a sidereal of the heavens, as a mountain lifting itself. He does this as a mountain lifting itself above the plain. Okay, Satan, that's evil rising up here. Okay, so now that was actually just verse 3. Now let's go into verse 4. It's a little shorter, but a lot of truth here, a lot of revelation here. Whosoever in all their straying from the path, inflections. So whosoever in all their straying from the path. Some are to be supplied the definite article, at others omitted. And in reality, it's kind of like the people who are lost and blind and just doing heinous things here, or you know, that kind of pushes other people towards Christ, actually, in a way. You know, and that could be, that's the kind of the way I see it, like dealing with other people who are evil and wicked, like steal things, break into your house, commit murder, robbery, and all the sickening acts that humans are doing in this world. That kind of pushes all the rest of us who are like double-minded back to the Lord. You know, it turns us back to our Father, seeing these evil things, okay, and being oppressed by our rulers who might not be so, you know, quite a few of them, I'm sure, around the world, maybe the majority. Okay, so to be supplied and others omitted. These things being so, truly then, to bring into a humble condition. So these things are so to bring us into a humble condition, we are assigned a lower rank of one's soul, and bring down one's pride. That was our fall, right there, the pride. And that's what was found in Satan's heart, in the heart. So to bring down one's pride in the heart. Humiliated and cast down. We've been humiliated and cast down themselves by your own conceit, your own excessive pride in yourself and your own knowledge. Through the idea of the baffling wind, which was through the idea of the baffling wind, which is Satan, which is how that thing, this man and same woman, straying from the path, like children, immature believers. It says immature Christians, but I think believers is a much better word, since way too many just loosely throw around that term of being a Christian. So immature believers, as a slave or a servant, these same ones belong to endure and remain for a while, to be and exist of the external form. So to be and exist in this external form for a while, right? External form, for a while, to be and exist of the external form, greater, which is greater in number, prepared on a grand scale, though, for God's preeminent blessings of things which have overstepped the province of a created being. So we've overstepped our province of a created being. Okay? That is in place and time. We are in between for a far more exceeding purpose of royal power of Christ, of Jesus, as the triumphant Messiah, conferred on believers to rule a realm. So we have supplanted the original people that rebelled, the original Elohim that rebelled and created their own system here. And they hate God. They hate us. They don't want him here. They want this place to themselves. They want us out of here. Just watch the news. Okay. And radio and television and everything else, commercials, music, it's all right there being thrown in our face. Okay. Of royal power of Jesus as the triumphant Messiah, conferred on believers to rule a realm through the notion of a foundation of power. And Christ is our foundation. this building block, the foundation, the cornerstone that the builders rejected. Who were the builders? Okay? Okay, a realm through the notion of a foundation of power with which one steps. And I thought that was kind of interesting, which one steps, because it says that Satan will bruise his heel, but he will crush his head. He will step on him and crush his head of the serpent. By an extension of heaven. By an extension of heaven. Specifically the gospel. Specifically the gospel. Like I said, how am I getting this? How am I getting this? I'm not just sitting there fumbling and bumbling through this. It's not the way it goes. I mean, he took me through that verse 4 like quickly. I went through verse 3 yesterday at work, and then I started to go through another verse because I knew he gave it to me, because I felt his presence. But then as I started going, it's like, well, you're missing something. I just felt like I was missing something, and I'm going over Matthew 3, and I said, you know what? He's telling me I need to go over Matthew 4. So there it is. He wants people to know, and he's telling us all these things in advance. So when these things occur, people will turn back to him. They'll realize, they'll finally wake up and turn back to their Father. To be found. I thought that was great. Be found. Be found. We're the sheep that went astray, and it says be found. That's beautiful. All right. So there it is. More revelation of the truth. He's continuing to pour it out because he's calling all his sheep, his lost sheep. He's calling us all home. Hear his voice. Turn. Follow your Father. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Love and respect to everybody. The world is lost. The world is lost. And it's so funny, you know, I seen, if you don't watch the Next News Network, and I know they push a lot of gold and crap, silver like that's going to help you in any way. But they do have some good things on there. They just caught some high-ranking members, a governor and other of the Democrat Party, you know, that basically there was a hot mic and they said something that we all know. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But it's just very interesting. I mean, look at what they caught Pelosi doing, Schumer doing, and then recently that other lady that's high up in their party, head of some committee or something. They just caught her to walk in an airport, right, without that on, like many of them do. And it's in what they call it, political theater. That's what they called it on a hot mic. So there's that. Anyways, you might want to check it out. All right. So we know the deception is strong. And it's all for one purpose. Bring in that. Okay. Love and respect to everybody. Have a great day. Bye.